Yep.
At West Jefferson, constantly. Yeah, constantly. Yeah.
My husband works sometimes.
No.
One that you like it.
Cass, she started doing it. She said, well, everybody's getting older. I said, no, I'm getting older.
I don't. Oh, Steve, stop.
Well, Carol and the relatives out of state that couldn't come. Rosie.
Yeah, you go with that.
Rosie, look at Steve.
Oh, Steve, I don't know pictures very well.
Sure you do.
This is for Carol. All right. On behalf of our family, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. Everybody here is either family or really close friends. So we really appreciate everybody being here. We're all here today to say our last goodbye to Betty Ruth Higginbotham. Betty was born December 1st, 1931. Left this existence on April 5th of 2016, aged 84 years. She's survived by her daughter, Carol Allens, her sons, Alan and Michael Murphy, Steve Higginbotham, and myself, Jeff. She also leaves behind a large group of grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and each of them, a small piece of her continues on. Sometimes that's comforting. Sometimes that'll be absolutely terrifying. If y'all know my mother, y'all know why I say that. You know? She was preceded to death by our dad, Cliff, who's right here next to her, and by Chris, my brother, her son, who we buried right over there 2 years ago. Everyone who knew our mother knew that she was a strong woman who never wanted help from anyone.
Amen.
And she was a lot like our grandmother, Chalmer. If any of y'all you knew Chalmer, you knew that was true. Both were raised in an era when pride and hard work were a valued and expected quality of Southern women. I'll ask each of y'all to try to get that into your kids. You know, raise them well. My siblings and I were very proud and blessed to have her as our mother. She instilled a sense of pride and self-worth in each of us. She was an example of what we should all try to be. Self-reliant, hard-working,
Yeah.
men and women who are proud of who they are and what their lives stand for. On November 6, 1968, the day my dad died, our mother found herself alone raising us by herself. With a 9th grade education, she began to work for Hallmark Coal Company, where she would hire as a cleaning lady. Scrub toilets, clean floors, vacuum. Within just a couple of years, she was acting as their bookkeeper and accountant. So she was a hard worker. She spent years there, and when faced with conflict, she stood her ground, didn't compromise her values, and resigned and walked. Then she was hired by Senator Gilmore to run the office at TMI Truck Maintenance, where she spent several years doing the exact same thing. Taking care of business, being proud of who she was, and working hard. And then she moved on to Shortstop Oil, which was her last job. She was such a hard worker that she did everything she could on the side to ensure that we as kids had everything we needed. Even kept books for the booby trap.
Lord God.
So if y'all are around here, y'all know what the booby trap is. But she actually kept a book for the booby trap and did taxes for other businesses and individuals on the side. So my mother was a hard worker.
Yes, she was.
She did ironing for others. People who didn't have time to do their ironing, they brought them to mother. She ironed our clothes and theirs. So there was nothing lazy about her. Nothing was above her and absolutely nothing was below her. She was always working to make ends meet. And my mother held on to her values.
Yep.
If confronted, and would never go against her values. Ever. My little brother at a young age contracted kidney disease, and Mother spent a vast part of her life taking care of him. There was a special relationship between she and Chris. She actually donated the kidney that kept him alive for the past 25 years. And for the 15 years leading up to that transplant, Mother worked all she could and cared for Chris during his times of sicknesses. She would work days and sit in the hospital at nights.
Yes, sir.
And that totally consumed her. After Chris's passing 2 years ago, Mother's life changed. A part of her died that day. And she never got over that. But I know right now she's able to see him again.
Amen.
And she's comfortable, and she knows that she's fine and he's fine. So that's a good end to a bad year and a half. In our youth, there was a group of kids who hung out at our house. Mother treated them like family, just like she did everybody. 2 of them are standing here today. Billy Hinkle, Greg Wilson, and just a group of other people who were always at our house. She fed them, laughed with them, and when needed, counseled and scolded them. What about that, Billy? She loved them all like her own. And they were a regular fixture at our house. And for us, there were many times when our mother may not agreed with the things we did, and she was more than willing to let you know her stance. There was a lot of times I could have hated her, and did. But as I get older, I realized that she was the one that was right and I was the one that was wrong. I think we all do that every once in a while. It was me that was the problem. Looking back now, I see her points and understand why she did what she did. And she always put herself before anybody else.
Amen.
After retirement, she stayed at home most of the time and loved taking care of her home and her yard. She'd actually get out and walk the woods and the rivers around this area, find the plants and the flowers to put in her yard. She prided herself on making her house the absolute best she could make it with what she had. And she was always looking for something else to do, never content with being still or wasting time. And I know where I get that from. You know? Over the past few days, I've looked back at my mother's life and realized that she raised us on her own with little or no help. We may never have been wealthy in terms of money, but we're rich in pride and values. She did things her way and never wavered. My nephew John, who lives in San Antonio now, said it best in a post this week I read, and I kind of had to include this. He wrote, "My grandmother was someone who I admired greatly, maybe more than anyone else in life. She was far from perfect, but she had every excuse to be far less, but never took it. She owned her life, her happiness, like no one else I've ever known. She inspired me to try harder and do better every single day."
She did.
And he says that'll never change.
Sure did.
That pretty much says the majority about my mother.
Amen.
She was tough, yet gentle and understanding when needed. She was mean at times. Lord knows she was mean. You know. But she'll be missed by all who knew her. And I kind of want to end it today with a poem that my sister Carol wrote for Mother when she was out here back last year before Christmas. And she wrote this just for her and asked me if I'd read it, and I agreed. And it's just titled Betty Ruth. It says, "Her time on this earth began simply, and like most, her future lay ahead. Unknown heartaches and adventures, surprises. Who could ever know what the day will bring when the sun comes up and the world is exposed and demands are made? Some fold under pressures while others bloom. And this child was destined to shine through a lifetime of challenges. Innocent days of youth too swiftly gone. Adulthood creases her brow, but her red hair and the fire in her eyes and the strength of her spirit prevails. Does she know how to read her own history? Does she know that no textbook can tell the truth of the world seen through the experienced eyes, worn hands, and sleepless nights? Does she see her excess in a profession where few can claim expertise? Or does she see the flaws and weaknesses, which in the end are just a speck on her character? Her children are talented and proud. She has their love and respect, even though at times it seems like her moment in the sun is past. Can she possibly know? Can she possibly know the gratitude felt by the little ones that she has protected, supported, and loved with no expectations? No expectations of payment or recognition or of anything except that they grow and learn to find happiness. May she always know that she is blessed and cherished by God, that she will never leave this planet as long as her blood flows through the veins of the children, laughing in the wind, playing in the rain, fishing from the banks of an Alabama river. That was my mother. The world would be a lesser place without her.